My life's like a movie, and I'ma keep smoking and drugs. My life's like a movie. She fucks with nothing but thugs. My life's like a movie.
Welcome back to the Why So Serious podcast. Brandon and Rashanii are back with Devin for another movie review, and this time we are doing Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oops, I got the wrong thing up. Ant-Man and the Wasp is sorry about this. I had Ant-Man regular one up. Scott Lang balances being both a superhero and a father. Hope Van Dyne and Dr. Hank Pym present an urgent new mission that finds the Ant-Man fighting alongside the Wasp to uncover secrets from the past. Devin, what did you think about this film?
He said, hold on, he'd be right back.
Go, Rashanii.
Rashanii, go ahead.
You know what? I love the Ant-Man movies. I think they're a great palate cleanser between the really heavy stuff that keeps happening in these other Avengers movies. And this was no different. It was a great action comedy to me.
Yeah, this film should really be called just The Wasp because it's really Hope Van Dyne's story. It's not Ant-Man's story. It's not Scott Lang's story. He's basically a supporting character to me in this film. I mean, they put him in it a lot because he's top billing, but the story of this film is all about Hope Van Dyne and her daughter, and it's basically like a story about being a daughter and what and the life of a daughter and relationship with her father and the relationship she had with her mother and the quest to get her parents back. And Scott's basically just there to help. And there's even a point in the film where they said, like, we weren't even going to come help you unless we needed you. So he's not essential to the main point of this story, which is great because seeing women superheroes get more shine is something that we need to be seeing more. And then Wonder Woman kicked that off. And then we're getting this. And then late next year we get Captain Marvel, which this movie makes me super excited for Captain Marvel. So I really enjoyed this movie a lot. Devin, are you back? Or are you still gone?
I'm back, but give me 1 second. Let me get so I'm not out in public. Give me 1 second.
All right.
I felt strongly like this movie is going to help to usher in, as you said, more of a look at the superheroines in movies or in comic book roles. I'm hoping that they finally give respect to Storm now that they got Fox.
They do a good Storm movie, yes.
And if not, then at least show me my nigga Squirrel Girl. I mean, I know she ain't a nigga, but still, she down for the cause.
See, I'm like in the minority. I don't want to see a Storm solo movie because I don't know any Storm stories. But Storm is in the comic books for years and years was the leader of the X-Men. So if you give me a good X-Men movie with Storm as the lead in the film, and she's the head of the X-Men team and the lead character and the top building character in the film, and she gets the most screen time, I'm for that 1,000,000%. But I don't know how good a solo Storm movie is going to be, just because I don't know what source material they're going to pull from, and I don't trust them making some shit out of thin air. As much as I love Marvel, they had to make some shit out of thin air to tell a Storm solo film.
To make it compelling, right.
The only Storm book, they had this Storm book that came out a couple years ago, and it was god-awful. It was so bad. It was so bad they canceled it, and I wasn't even sad because it was making a mockery of her. But that's a little bit off topic. But we got Storm coming in. We got Sue Storm coming in. A lot of people coming in. They're talking about doing a Silk movie from the Spider-Man universe.
Yes.
Oh yeah, she's dope.
So
I need that to be a comic book character of the month for us.
Harley Quinn's getting a movie. Well, she's already getting a movie. Harley Quinn's already getting a movie. Batgirl was supposed to have a movie, but Joss Whedon stepped down, so we don't know what's happening with that. We don't know what happened with anything in DC. But Devin, go ahead. What do you think about Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Ant-Man and Wasp was a fun time at the movies, and like the cast, you can tell they enjoy the genre of movie because it's not really a serious, like you said, it's not really a serious Marvel film. Like it's fun, like to keep his crew and make it a security company is amazing. I forgot old boy's name that rambles on about the stories that are fucking phenomenal.
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena, like when he does his little fucking spill, and
he only did it once in this movie, but it was good.
I know. It was good though. It was good. Definitely good. I love the fact that it showed women in strong roles. Like Ghost was really fucking cool, and she was a minority, which was awesome to see. Lawrence Fishburne was like he was one of those characters hard to figure out. So I like not really knowing if he was good or bad throughout. Paul Rudd is fucking amazing. The ants really stole the movies for me. Like just fucking playing the drums and fucking just doing regular shit that the ants do. And then the graphics were really good. As far as the CGI was pretty good. And shout out to Michelle Pfeiffer, still got it. She was looking good. But yeah, that was great. I loved it.
Yeah, fuck Larry Fishburne. I hate Larry Fishburne. I don't even know why. It's completely unreasonable. I know
okay, because I was like, what the fuck did he do?
But I don't know what caused me to stop
being a
liking
bad father?
Larry Fishburne, but I don't fuck with Larry Fishburne. And he was kind of a fucking mark in this movie as well.
Hey, that nigga just sent me a message on Facebook saying if you don't respect his name and call him Lawrence, like he's been fighting for since 1991, he would kick you in the balls.
That nigga's Larry Fishburne to me, and fuck him. But yeah, I agree with everything Devin said about this film. Ghost, I like how they made her an ambiguous character because she wasn't really this film really doesn't have a villain. Like there's no villain per se in this film. Because Ghost is not an actual villain because she has a legitimate reason why she wants to get Janet out there and get these microparticles in her system. So she never came off as a villain to me.
And she's a legit SHIELD agent though. She was a SHIELD agent, so she's not a bad person. She was a SHIELD agent.
I mean, you can be a bad person and be a SHIELD agent, but yeah, she was. That kind of makes SHIELD the villain. The way she told the story was that like they weaponized her, but she didn't want to do none of that shit, which brought some sympathy on her, which I think you should do. A lot of times you want to do when you're quote unquote villains, but that just really didn't make her a villain to me at all. Also, what kind of fucking drugs is Paul Rudd taking? That nigga looks like he's 30 years old. He's 50. Usually with white people, it's the opposite. You're like, damn, they look old as shit when they're young. He is like the opposite of that. He is 49 years old. There's no possible way you could convince me to watch that movie that dude's 49 years old.
Yo, how did he get his abs like that, yo? Because my man was ripped, yo. Like, whatever they've been doing in Hollywood to be getting back in shape for these movies, and then as soon as these movies are done, their bodies go back to being normal. Like, I need to know. We need the secrets. That shit is crazy because he was fucking ripped.
I don't know what kind of secrets he got, but I want those secrets. What'd you think about Evangeline Lilly and Hope Van Dyne, Rashanii?
You know, I think that okay, so I like her. I like the movie. I liked her. I felt like her role as far as a anguished, like I want my mom back. Everything we're doing right now is to get my mom back. That's what we're working towards, get my mom back. All that was really heartfelt. It was touching. She played that role well. I loved her action scenes. I just felt like she was bland. Like it was all good lines and she acted it well. It's just that nothing was like, for me, Hope Van Dyne came out and it was like, okay, cool, you know, there's hope. And then Ghost came out and it was like, oh shit, motherfucker, there goes Ghost. Nigga, look at Ghost. Nigga, she phasing. Nigga, there goes Ghost. Look at Ghost's reason. Oh, Hope has a reason for wanting to get her mom. That's cool, you know, whatever. Oh, nigga, Hope don't even need the Ghost don't even need the suit, nigga. Oh shit, nigga.
Yeah, that was fucking crazy. But yeah, I feel like she lost the thunder from the first movie because she stole the show in the first movie for me as far as how badass she was.
It's a complete opposite to me. In the first movie, she didn't do shit. the first movie, she was wanting to be in the suit, and her daddy wouldn't let her in the suit. So all she did was teach fucking Scott some shit to do, and she didn't do shit. And this film, every fight scene, it was her. Scott didn't do no fucking fighting.
It was.
She was doing all the action scenes.
And she was doing big action scenes too, like awesome stuff. Her action scenes were amazing.
Yeah, she had some great action scenes. She was going from big to small, jumping in and out of cars, from going big to small. Like, that shit was really creative. That shit was really well done to me. And she stood out there doing some action shit. For me, I really enjoyed those scenes a lot. And her story is the story that it should have been from the beginning to me, because I mean, it makes sense that she's better than Scott in the suit because she taught Scott. Like, it makes sense that she's more prepared to be this hero than Scott is, and she was. So I'm glad they went down that route, and I enjoyed seeing that part. And I also thought her suit was dope as shit. It's not the same suit from the after credit scene in the first movie. That was just a prototype, but the way they upgraded the suit and gave her blasters and all types of shit was really, really cool, and I enjoyed her suit a lot. What you guys think of the supporting characters in this film? His crew, T.I., Michael Pena, his whole crew. They didn't get as much shine as the first movie.
I was about to say, I felt like they couldn't afford too much of T.I. in this movie, because him and whatever the Russian dude's name is, I just called him White Russian.
Yeah.
They didn't get much shine. Michael Pena didn't even really get to do his whole tangent thing but once in this movie, and I feel like that part was forced. Like, they just had to write it in somewhere, and they're like, okay, we'll give him two serum, which honestly, that was a very funny scene.
That shit was funny as fuck.
But I felt like, man, why didn't they give them more to do? Like,
yeah, but Michael Pena, he didn't get as many of his soliloquies, but he had way more scenes and lines than he did in the first movie. Like, he was in way more scenes. He even got one-on-one interaction with Hope, like, as a hero in the car. So he
so in all,
yeah, go ahead.
What you're saying is that he was the tomater of Ant-Man and Wasp.
That's what's up. That's good. That's good.
That's a good
because honestly, he was serviceable in the first movie. Folks realized that he was funny and great in the first movie, so they gave him more scenes in the second movie and risked almost overexposure.
Well, yeah, they didn't let him do what he does. I mean, I thought he was fine in the movie. Don't get this wrong. I don't think he was bad in the film at all.
But no, he wasn't horrible. It was just, like, I'm scared now that if they come out with another one, it's gonna be him in a suit.
A suit. Yeah.
He said he was like, I just want a suit, even if I don't have powers. I just want a suit, and I feel like that's exactly how I feel. I want a fucking dope ass superhero suit, even though I ain't gonna have no goddamn powers. Like, I want that shit. So I was like, yeah, I'm with you on that one. His daughter is so adorable. Like, she's the most adorable little girl. And she was great in this film. By the way, how dope did their fucking ant cave in the beginning of the film look? I was like, yo, I want that shit right now.
Oh my god.
You make that shit out of cardboard boxes? I can do that. I want that shit. That shit look like so much fun.
You can't do it because house arrest. You need to have a lot of time on your hands, like house arrest. Like that. House arrest.
You've been doing that shit for a whole year straight, bro. Like 2 years straight.
Exactly. House arrest. But I thought Cassie was awesome. I love the fact that she said, I want to be a superhero because of you. I love the fact that he was like, yo, I want to be your partner. And he was like, I already got a partner. And then she went and told Hope that, and Hope was like, oh. I love the interaction between all of the main characters. I really like the way that Hank Pym is still just a insufferable ass.
Oh, yeah.
He just happens to be really good at what he does, but nobody likes him. Like, watching him and Lawrence go head to head was really good, because it turns out that Lawrence was right and Hank Pym did mess everything up. I love Michael Douglas, and seeing him in any role is always great, but seeing him in this role is just above anything I could ever hope for him at this age.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, they got that de-aging CGI. They got that shit down pat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They had Larry Fishburne looking like he did in fucking what the fuck is that movie?
Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, Boys in the Hood.
And that's what I was saying. He looked like he literally, like, folks just didn't know in Boys in the Hood. They were like, how can you be a single father and afford this house? What do you do? And they was like, Furious is a philosopher. Now, Furious was a physicist, and he was working quantum theories for Hank Pym up in San Francisco. That's what was happening. And then, all of a sudden, he found Ghost, and everything changed.
I was scared that he was going to go Ike Turner on Ghost, though, for a second.
Yeah, a little bit, because I told you once. I told you, don't hurt that little girl. Like, I was like, oh, hold up.
I was a little scared. He was trying to reprise the role.
The family element of this is everything. And, like, shout out to blended families, because, like, yo, the stepdad, like, he really fucks with Scott, yo. He really fucks with Scott, like.
And you know what? I'm fortunate enough to have two children in a blended family, a stepfather or two, and whenever I see their dad, dude, it's like that. Like, you can have a good relationship with the other party in this relationship, like the biological. You can have that good relationship. Respect grows into admiration that may grow into some sort of a fraternity. Like, dude, we're in this together. And so, I mean, we're not to the point where we're doing big ass group hugs or anything like that, but talking football, just hanging out, there's no animosity or anything. And it's really good to have that progression in this movie, because in the first movie, there was animosity between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, dude, I'm not trying to hear you. You're not her dad. And respect grew, and now they're where they are. And it's just, to me, it was comfortable. It was beautiful to me.
Right, yeah. I enjoyed that.
So the basic plot of this film is Hank Pym is like figured out a way to go into the quantum realm and bring Janet back out, but they got to get some shit. So Hope's trying to like get the last pieces so they can go back in there. And they end up getting caught up with this asshole dude who don't want to sell it to him. So then they need Scott to help get the pieces back and give him information about where Jan is located in the quantum realm so they can go in there and get him. So I thought that the plot, I mean, Marvel does a good job with their plots mostly. So this film's plot was sturdy enough for me. I thought the story flowed really, really well. I thought the CGI was fan-fucking-tastic. Like, the Ant-Man CGI is one of the best that they do, because the ants look so weird. I read that they had like, I don't know the name of the people who study ants, but they had a bunch of people come who like study ants in real life so that they can figure out how ants move and how they behave and every little detail about like how ants look and behave. And so when you see them in this film, like, they look like fucking ants. Like, they look like ants. And, like, when they were going small, like, the one scene where she's running on the knife was so fucking good. And the smoothness between going big and small when Hope was in her fight scenes as the Wasp were really, really, really well done. And even when Scott became Giant Man, he was big as shit. He had weight to him. A lot of times the CGI doesn't have any weight, and it just looks light, like it's fake. This one, it looked like it had some weight to it. Like, you could see the weight in the CGI, and I thought it was done really, really well.
You could feel like you could really understand why he ran out of breath really quickly. Like, you really feel that shit. I was like, God damn, that makes sense.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. Ghost, also, one of the things that they did differently in this movie than they used to. Well, they're starting to do it more in Marvel movies, but the villain didn't die. So Ghost, the quote unquote villain, didn't die. So Ghost is still alive. And I have a feeling we're going to see her again in some other movie. I don't know if she'll be in another Ant-Man movie or she'll jump in another franchise of some sort. But I have a feeling we will be seeing Ghost again because they kept her alive for a reason. And if she can stabilize her powers and can turn invisible whenever she wants, that'd be a dope-ass character that they could use in a lot of fights going forward. What else about this film? I guess we'll talk about this. We got a few more things to talk about, but we'll just jump to this. What'd you guys think of that after credit scene?
I cried. I didn't cry, but I wanted to.
Oh, man. I savored both of them. So, yeah, it was just, I get it. And I was like, well, goddamn.
You know what's funny?
So
I'm like, sometimes I forget how big of a nerd I am and how mainstream Marvel movies are. So I'm in the theater, and as soon as the after credit scene comes up, as soon as Scott jumps in there, I go, "Oh, these niggas about to be gone when he come back. They about to be gone." And I'm like, "Oh," I'm in the theater, and I go, "Oh shit." And everybody looking at me like, what is he talking about? And I'm like, just wait. I said it out loud, like, just wait. And he go in there, and then they fucking disappear, like when Thanos snapped that finger, and my whole theater was like, like just gasping. And I was like, I knew it. And to me, it just seems so obvious. Like I was like, oh, this is exactly. It made perfect. Like I said it before. I think I said it in one of our podcasts. Like it makes perfect sense that when he's inside that universe, that it kept him away from the snap,
right?
Which is going to come to play in Avengers 4.
Thanos,
like,
or whatever.
Something about going to that microverse is going to have to do with them taking over the universe and stopping Thanos. I can guarantee you that. But yeah, it was sad. But I did see it coming, and I loved it. I loved how they tied that in, and it basically put this whole film in the correct timeline where. Well, they did that from the beginning, saying like that he's been on house arrest for 2 months
since Geneva,
since Germany.
Yeah, Geneva says the court,
Sokovia
Accord.
Sokovia Accord, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was really done well. One of the things I didn't like about this film, well, not to say didn't like, but I wanted to see fucking Michelle Pfeiffer. I wanted to see Janet in the suit doing some fucking fighting shit, and they didn't really let her fight anybody. So that kind of disappointed me a little bit because I was looking forward to that. And the same thing with Hank. Once Hank put on that suit, I was like, oh shit, he about to fight somebody. He gonna have to fight somebody in the microverse, but he ain't had to fight nobody in the microverse. So I kind of got excited for nothing. Anything you guys didn't like about this film?
No, I like Walter Goggins. Like he was really good. Walter Goggins was really good.
Hey, I do wish they had fleshed out his FBI insider a bit more.
Yeah, I feel like they were setting something up with that.
Yeah, me too.
I think they got to come back to that.
Yeah.
Or even giving him a name, like something that would have really helped out. But other than that, and that's really just
no. They showed his FBI insider. They never showed who he was working for.
Yeah. I mean, like if they had given him more of a fleshed out story, like they made him sound like Walter was like I work for a really bad dude or whatever, and it was a pencil pusher.
Some people think it's Norman Osborn. I don't know about that, but some people think that's how they're going to introduce the Norman Osborn character. That's who he was working for. But I don't know if that's what it is. But I know they're going to come back to that. Marvel don't usually throw out stuff like that and don't address it. So, and we know they're doing another Ant-Man movie, so I think we will come back to that. What about you, Devin?
What about what?
Anything you didn't like?
No. I just like the Walter Goggins thing a little bit, but he was great. I wish we got more of the little Matchbox cars, like, because that was dope.
Oh, yeah, that was dope.
And then, small little tidbit, they said that they didn't want to shrink, what's the girl's name? What's the little girl's name?
Cassie.
Cassie. That little girl was shrunk in that car when they were watching it on a laptop.
Look, that's what I was going to say. I was like, the one inconsistent thing about this film was, in the first film they established that they need the suit to protect their body from when it shrinks. But then in this film, Luis was just in the car and they just shrunk. And he was just small in the fucking car. And it just got big again with no suit on. So I don't know.
Well, it's been 2 years.
It has been 2 years.
They've been working on a lot of stuff.
You know what? That is a good justification. Yeah, they figured out.
And I mean, in the 2 years since we had seen them last, they figured out a way to shrink down that building. So I'm thinking they could take care of folks in the car.
Yeah, but he figured out how to shrink down the building in the first one. Oh, did he shrink down the building, or did he just make it go
No, that
to
building
oblivion?
was gone. That building was it went small. I think it went to oblivion though.
Yeah, it went to oblivion. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, he figured out how to shrink down the building so they could carry it around. By the way, Ant-Man is looked at as a laughing stock, but nigga, those powers. Can you imagine being able to shrink cars and put them on your fucking keychain, and then fucking, you know what you could do with that type of type of technology? That's just.
I know what I can do. Where are we parking at? Just get out.
Exactly.
I'd be getting.
You want valet parking? Nah, nigga, I'm cool. Get out.
I ain't never paying for fucking parking at fucking football games, basketball games, any of that shit. Cause that should be overpriced like shit.
Oh shit, nigga! The cops is behind us. We ain't got no tags. Don't worry about it. Shrink down.
Now my question is, how does the plumbing work when you pick up your building and move? Like, what happens when you got a shit? See, overthinking.
I figure it's kind of. I figure it at initially I thought it was like having a mobile home until he pulled that house out of his bag in the mountains or at the beach.
Yo,
and just
crazy.
sat it down.
I love this about Marvel. The one thing more than anything that I love about the MCU is how much they embrace comic books. Like this movie is such a fucking comic book movie. Like the whole notion of shrinking houses and picking up your house and putting that motherfucker on the beach and somehow it has power and plumbing and everything is absurd. But it's exactly what would happen in the comic book. And I love that. Like they fully embrace that shit. They don't try to be like Fox and take away their comic book shit. They fully embrace the ridiculousness of comic books. And that's what makes these movies really, really good. Like that shit is so fucking good. You guys got anything else about Ant-Man?
Go ahead and score this.
I do have one thing that just like was to me was a sticking point. Okay, now we know where Ant-Man was. We know where all the so-called big names were during the snap. Are we ever going to see a flashback to where Hawkeye was? We know he's going to show back up.
We'll probably see that in Avengers 4.
Right.
We'll probably see that.
I hope they open up the story with it because he's the last person that I'm like, okay, you need to explain some stuff to me.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to believe that he was on that farm. Well, they said something in Infinity War about him. I think Scarlett Johansson said like he did something. She said something about Hawkeye. I don't remember exactly what she said.
She said that he was trapped in a mine in Taiwan. And she was going to flash back to showing how she rescued him, and it was going to be her in as a Taiwanese or a Thailand U.S. Navy SEAL sequel.
Yeah, she definitely would do some shit like that.
With her playing 5 roles, like on the Nutty Professor.
Yeah, all Taiwanese people, white ass Scarlett Johansson. But yeah, I think they said something about it, but I don't remember exactly what she said. But yeah, I think
they
we'll
did.
See that.
They said that he retired to the farm, but it's Marvel. I want to see more. I'm starting to get greedy as far as my interactions with Marvel.
Getting greedy.
Don't just give me exposition. Show me. I think that's where I'm at now.
And I think Captain Marvel was somewhere in space. But here's the thing. Thanos destroyed. So this week, we're going to talk about this in a regular show tomorrow. But then Kevin Feige said that when Thanos snapped his finger, it didn't only kill half the people in the universe. It killed half the life. So animals, plants, all of that. Half of any living thing died when he snapped his fingers.
Oh, wow.
So we're assuming Captain Marvel wasn't one of them, obviously, because Samuel L. Jackson called her and she's coming back. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think Hawkeye got snapped out either. I don't think he's going to be one of the people that got snapped out. But we'll see. Go ahead and give us a score out of 10, Devin.
I'm going to go a good solid 9. Very enjoyable. CGI was really good. There was comedy. There was a great plot. There was women in roles that mattered. And the story flowed, and then we got the end where you saw the snap, and it keeps building on this MCU that is fantastic. This is number 20. So, yeah, I'm excited for what comes next.
Rashanii?
The homeboy Aaron Rand Freeman said it best to me when he was like, "Hey, if you look at Marvel movies and not just the names of the Marvel movies like the Incredible Hulk and Spider-Man and all that, but you look at Marvel movies as a monolith because they're all connected, this would be Marvel movie like 21."
Oh, I thought it was the 20th one, but okay.
Marvel movie 20? Yeah. Okay.
20.
Marvel movie 20. There hasn't been any Marvel movie in this entire long ass, not even you can't call this a sequel, a trilogy. It's just a package. There hasn't been one that's been less than B-, and that was the Dark World. That was the Dark World in my opinion.
Yeah, Dark World, Iron Man 2 and 3. Some people didn't like.
Yeah, part
Iron Man
3 was
yeah.
2 was horrible. 3 was serviceable.
That's
Ant-Man
it.
versus the Wasp. Ant-Man versus the Wasp was great for what it needed to be, which is just something light and fluffy in between where'd all these niggas go after he snapped his fingers. And it brought out new characters. It made you feel things like for family and everything. It had great comedy, and it was surprisingly good. Like you knew it was gonna be good because it was Marvel movie 20, but you didn't know it was gonna be this good. It's like when your grandma says, "I'm making fried chicken," and she put seasoning on it. I knew this was gonna be good. I didn't know it was gonna be this good. I want more. I'm going back to see it again. I give Ant-Man and the Wasp an 8.5.
Yeah, this was the most Disney movie of all the Marvel movies to me. Like, this felt like a Disney movie. And that's not a pejorative. I say that as a good thing. It felt like a Disney movie. It was written as a Disney movie. It's definitely something you can take your kids to go see. They will leave the movie smiling. It's very funny, very enjoyable. A lot of action. It's really the Wasp, like I said at the beginning. She kicks ass in this film. She does great. Supporting cast, is great. Paul Rudd's funny as always. Very, very enjoyable movie. This is an 8.5 for me. Definitely a must-see movie. Almost all the Marvel movies haven't had a bad one in years. I mean, they've never had a bad one. They haven't had a one in years. Mm-hmm. So if they're putting something out, I will be there open tonight, if not earlier, because in every single one I've seen at least twice in the theater, some 3 times. So these movies are just really well done, and this one is no exception. But thank you guys for listening. We will be back soon with our regular show this week. And then next week we'll be here with Skyscraper, which is a ridiculous movie. I saw a screener. But thanks for listening to the Watch the Series podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify. You can find Rashani's podcast, A Single Simulcast, at singlesimulcast.com, and iTunes. Make sure you go subscribe to that. I was on that this week. It was so much fun. So definitely go and check that podcast out, and we will be back soon. Thanks.
'Cause mama keep falling in love. My life's like a movie, and I'ma keep smoking and drugs. My life's like a movie. She fucks with nothing but thugs. My life's like a movie.